Coming up today, winter strikes. Korea, much of Asia and the east coast of the United States remain in the grip of unusually cold weather. More sub-freezing temperatures are in store for Korea on Monday. The top diplomats of South Korea and the United States coordinate their approach on sanctioning North Korea for its recent nuclear bomb test. Both agree China needs to play a more active role. Plus, sanctions lifted, Iran's president heads to Europe to drum up business and rebuild fractured ties with the region. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello to our viewers around the world. It's 6 a.m. on Monday, January 25th, here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. And we begin with the bitter cold that's been gripping Korea. Seoul shivered under its coldest day in 15 years on Sunday, with the mercury dropping to minus 18 degrees Celsius. Throw in the wind chill, and it actually felt more like minus 25 degrees Celsius. Now, Monday, today, will remain extremely cold, but we should start to see some let up from Tuesday as we return to seasonal norms. Now, Korea isn't the only country in a deep freeze. Other parts of the world are also experiencing a winter they'd rather forget, as our Son Jung-in reports.
For most parts of Korea, Sunday was the coldest day of the season. According to the nation's weather agency, the low in Seoul was a bone-chilling minus 18 degrees Celsius. Daegu was at minus 11 and Busan at minus 8. The day before that, heavy snow and strong winds prompted the Korea Airports Corporation to suspend all flights to and from the southern island of Jeju-do. The island has seen more than 10 centimeters of snow over the past couple of days. The flight suspensions for Jeju will remain in effect until 8 p.m. on Monday. Korea isn't the only country in the grip of a severe cold wave. A massive blizzard struck the U.S. East Coast over the weekend, and at least 19 people have died in storm-related accidents. A state of emergency has been declared in 11 states, and about 7,000 flights have been canceled. Washington, D.C. was hit with 60 centimeters of snow, the second highest since 1922. New York, Washington, and other East Coast cities affected by the snowstorm have started the process of digging themselves out. China is also experiencing a severe cold wave, with some northern provinces reporting seasonal lows of 48 degrees below zero. Shanghai also marked a record 35-year low of minus 7 degrees on Sunday. In Taiwan, the temperature dropped to 4 degrees Celsius in the north, which is about 10 degrees lower than the average for January. According to Taiwan's state-run Central News Agency, at least 50 people had died of hypothermia or cardiovascular disease caused by the cold snap. Hong Kong also experienced its coldest day in nearly 60 years on Sunday, as the temperature plunged to just 3 degrees Celsius. But the cold wave is expected to let up soon, with meteorologists forecasting temperatures around the world will return to seasonal averages this week. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
Now, South Korea's foreign minister spoke with his U.S. counterpart on Sunday to coordinate their response to North Korea after its fourth nuclear test earlier this month. During telephone talks, Yoon Byung-se and John Kerry agreed to press for additional sanctions against Pyongyang, both in their own countries and at the UN, and discuss ways to get China on board. The phone call came ahead of Kerry's trip to China on Wednesday. The two officials also agreed to work on reviving the six-party denuclearization talks without North Korea, based on a recent proposal by President Park Geun-hye. The six-party talks involving the two Koreas, the US, China, Japan and Russia, have been stalled since late 2008. However, China reportedly disagrees on the level of sanctions to be included in the new UN Security Council measures against North Korea over its recent nuclear test. Tokyo-based Kyodo News Agency reported on Sunday that Beijing has expressed its opposition to a draft resolution drawn up by Washington, citing the repercussions it will have on the North Korean people. Now, the contents of the sanctions in the draft version include banning oil exports and mineral resource imports to and from the north. They also plan to prohibit North Korea's main airline from passing through the airspace of related countries. Now, US Secretary of State John Kerry, who began a visit to Asia on Sunday, he's currently in Laos, in fact, plans to press China to side with the US and South Korea and all the other nations in slapping more sanctions on North Korea when he visits Beijing on Wednesday. Now, the leaders of South Korea's two main rival parties have once again failed to reach agreement on a series of contentious bills and redrawing the country's electoral map. Sunday's meeting at the National Assembly centred around 4 labour reform bills, including one on irregular workers. That was the main sticking point between the two parties. The ruling party says the bill protects irregular workers, while the opposition claims it will only encourage companies to take on more irregular workers. The lawmakers and the floor leader, the leaders of those parties, will meet again on Tuesday with the goal of reaching a compromise before the current parliamentary session ends on February 8th. Now, redrawing the electoral map is becoming more and more urgent by the day as Korea will hold a general election in mid-April. European aircraft maker Airbus is set to be the first beneficiary of the lifting of sanctions under Iran's landmark nuclear pact with global powers. According to Tehran's transport minister on Sunday, Iran plans to buy 114 Airbus planes by March to revitalise its ageing fleet. The purchase is expected to be signed during President Hassan Rouhani's visit to Paris on Wednesday during his European tour, which will be the first by an Iranian president in 17 years. The minister said Tehran is also interested in buying aircraft from the US plane maker Boeing. Iran emerged from years of economic isolation when world powers lifted sanctions against it earlier this month in return for Tehran complying with a deal to curb its nuclear ambitions. Now, the 2016 World Economic Forum wrapped up in the Swiss town of Davos over the weekend. During the 4-day event, our correspondents covered everything from the discussions on global issues to the frenzy of networking at night and the goings-on behind the scenes. So we have a few highlights for you.
For the past 4 days, we've been bringing you live coverage of the World Economic Forum in the Swiss alpine town of Davos. The annual event has now come to an end, and in this final report, we bring you the highlights of Day 4 and a sneak peek into what went on behind the scenes. Modest growth is what IMF head Christine Lagarde expects for the world economy in 2016. Speaking at a session on the global economic outlook, Lagarde said the organization expects the global economy to grow 3.4% this year, up from 3.1% in 2015.
We see global growth. From 3.1 in 2015, we see it at 3.4 in 2016 and 3.6 in 2017. So there are factors that will actually increase the global value of our economies.
However, the IMF chief also made note of several risks that could affect the prediction: the transition in the Chinese economy, the downward slide in commodity prices, asynchronous monetary policies around the world, and the potential for capital to move from developing economies to advanced ones. In a session on the future of growth based on the event's theme, Mastering the Fourth Industrial Revolution, participants noted the effect technological advances will have on human workers, while academics discussed the future of science. The annual meeting, the 46th of its kind, involving some 2,500 participants, including business tycoons, politicians, and academics, ended with a closing performance on Saturday.
While our team was covering the busy 4-day event, not only did we get to see the high-profile participants here and there, but we spent a lot of time with the people buzzing around the scene.
Hello. To get around from the media village to the main venue, the Congress Center, we were lucky enough to have the use of this electric car.
Wie ist die Woche für Sie gelaufen?
It was great. It was a little cold and minus 20 degrees. But apart from that, it was a very nice week.
Und was für Leute haben Sie hier gesehen?
I saw Kofi Annan and the leader from Iceland. It was a very nice encounter.
And the people capturing it all on film work at this cozy place, which looks a little like a shipping container.
It was nice to be able to film such a diversity of different voices, I guess, and, you know, interesting ideas. And yeah, certainly an interesting thing to be filming.
With thousands of personnel working around the clock, the organizers of the forum said the 46th event went off smoothly.
The point of the effort we put in is to make sure everything is correct. What we don't want to do is have the participants here, you know, with any reason not to make the very most use of the meeting. So they've got to be here. We need the 2,500 people that come here every year to have all of their capability to put towards solving critical global challenges.
The media was certainly part of that. Around 250 journalists were present to document every development.
This is my first Davos. I thought it's amazing to see so many powerful people together and that the concerns are often the same.
That's the potential of the fourth industrial revolution, using technology to bring the people of the world a little closer together to resolve the major issues facing humanity. The question is whether we'll be closer to mastering it before the next Davos Forum in 2017.
Well, that was our Kim Min-ji and Gwon-soa reporting there on the World Economic Forum, which wrapped up in Davos over the weekend. Now, in other news, Korean tech firms Samsung, SK and KT have all made the list of nominees for this year's Global Mobile Awards. Samsung Pay is in the running for honours in two separate categories, Best Mobile Payment Solution and Best Overall Mobile App. Samsung Electronics is also expected to win for Best Smartphone, Best Mobile Tablet and Best Connected Consumer Electronic Device. SK Telecom's Smart Robot Coding School is nominated for Best Mobile Innovation for Education. KT is competing to win Best Mobile Network Solution for Serving Customers and the award for Best Mobile Security or Anti-Fraud Solution. The so-called Glomo Awards will be held at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona on February 23rd. Now, if you're watching us in Korea, you'll be well aware how cold it has been for the past few days. And it's at this time of the year when vehicle care is key to ensure you aren't caught out in the cold. For some handy tips on how to keep your car ticking over this midwinter, Park Ji-won reports.
Here is a basic checklist for car maintenance during severe cold weather. The battery and charging system are the first items to be checked. Cold weather is hard on batteries. If batteries are old or left unchecked for a long time, the engine might not be able to turn over in cold weather. If your car has a black box, it's more likely to take a toll on the battery, so it's good to unplug the power cable when not in use for extended periods of time. And make sure to check your vehicle's antifreeze levels for safe winter driving, as it protects the car's engine from freezing in cold weather.
Without a sufficient amount of antifreeze, the car's engine could explode. Always make certain to put a 50-50 mix of antifreeze and coolant.
Washer fluid will help keep the windshield clear of ice and frost, so make sure to maintain proper levels. Wipers also need to be changed every few years. Tire pressure should be checked on a regular basis. Make sure to inflate tires around 10% more during the winter months, as air pressure drops in cold weather. In case of heavy snow, be prepared to install snow chains if necessary. Finally, make sure to fill up with fresh fuel to avoid any corrosion from possible icing of the gas tank. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Yeah, some really helpful advice there from our Park Ji-won. Now, usually at this time of the year in Korea, we might find ourselves trudging through mounds of snow, but the combination of an extreme drought and climate factors means snow has become somewhat of a rarity, especially in Seoul. But to make local sites feel a little more wintry, some ski resorts and other recreational areas are pumping out tons of artificial snow. For more on how they do it, our Park Se-young reports.
This hill is covered with artificial snow. Man-made snow contains more water and is much denser than natural snow, which makes it ideal for use with winter sports. Snowmaking requires specialized equipment like a snow cannon, which has a specific type of nozzle that sprays both air and water, and another that only sprays water. The mix of water and pressurized air in low temperatures creates the nucleation points necessary to make snow crystals. Droplets of water and ice crystals are then mixed together and propelled out by a powerful fan. The two freeze into snow as they fall to the ground. But this kind of snow can only be made with low temperatures. There's another type of artificial snow made of pulp or wax that can be produced regardless of time or place. It was used to create the snow-covered mountains in the Korean blockbuster The Himalayas.
Artificial snow is used mainly for movies, advertisements and special events. We can provide snow anywhere, all year round.
The wintry landscapes we come across may not have all been made by Mother Nature, but with some help from scientific technology, we don't have to wait for winter to see them. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Well, that's all we have for now on this Monday morning here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for tuning in. We'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. Until then, goodbye.